Hey friend, welcome back to the Created Worthy podcast. I am your host and fellow worthy warrior, Danielle Damrell. On this show, we are creating space for genuine connection by unifying women of all ages, backgrounds, and experiences. So grab your favorite drink and get ready to listen as we take a deep dive into our stories, making sure to honor and protect them in the process. We will also uncover the threads of creative processing that have already played a part in each of our lives. When we know how to utilize this as a skill, we can continue growing into the joy-filled, triumphant women we are created to be. You are created worthy. Hello! Welcome back to the Created Worthy podcast. Today, I am joined by another worthy warrior, Cara Jo Knapp. Cara Jo owns Knapp Design Co., which is a full-service luxury letterpress wedding invitation and day of design studio. If you want to hear more about her life story, you can go back to episodes 28 and 29 from season 2. But today's episode is going to be more of an update. And I'm so excited because you've had quite the year.
Yeah, it feels like 4 years.
Yeah. Well,
legitimately.
Yeah. It's been a long 2022, I think, for a lot of people.
It's been 22 years long is what it feels like to me.
Yes. Well, Cara Jo, thank you so much for joining me today on the Created Worthy podcast again. And I can't wait to hear more about your life since we last recorded.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
All 22 years of your life.
22 years of the last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with your business growth.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So-
Which part?
So in your first couple of episodes, you talked about how you had some big financial goals.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Yes.
Because I don't just dream little.
No. But I do feel like you dream realistically and like,
True.
you're like, I'm going to do in 5 years, I'm going to get to this point.
Right.
But then you just
And then I just
blow
do
right
it anyways.
through that. And then you do it in 5 months. So
Well, yeah, because the letterpress, like getting a printing press, was a 5-year goal that I had last year. And then I did it in 5 weeks. We call it my 5-year to 5-week goal.
Yes.
So that was really cool to get the printing press in my studio, which for the first half, mostly half of the year, actually the first 3/4 of the year, was in a warehouse, which was okay.
But it was like a warehouse studio. Like it was still like a space for creatives mostly, right?
Well, I think there was a mix of creative. There was a lot of florists there, so it always smelled really nice.
Oh,
and there was like
that's
soap
nice.
makers and candle makers and stuff like that. But then there was this mix of other entrepreneurs that were very like e-commerce based, and so it was like lots of boxes and like
Even though there weren't full walls.
yeah.
So could you like hear
I could
each
hear everything.
Oh, that would be super distracting.
It was
for me.
very distracting. But and my biggest thing there was the lights were on a motion activated sensor, and if I didn't move,
Wait. Did you say on motion? I heard emotion.
I mean, they could be emotional, but they are on a motion activated sensor.
Oh, that's
And
frustrating.
where the sensor was for the lights that were in my space was in the hallway.
What?
So like they would just turn off on me, which was very annoying.
Well, and that's like
Not like
you're
completely,
like doing such detailed work that like that's a risky
Not, like,
thing to happen.
completely off, just like super dim,
Okay.
like the service lights almost. And I had to walk outside into the hallway. Luckily, my space wasn't that big, so I could just pop out into the hallway, but it was fine.
It was fine.
It got me my press in a space where I could use it and I could learn how to use it. Because also, remember, I'd never done letterpress on this type of press before in my life.
You'd done some letterpress, but it was like
Very
a friend's letterpress, and it wasn't at all the same type that you have now.
It was very, I think maybe this month I'll try to do it. Maybe. It was very like casual.
Yeah.
Never put any effort into it. I generally paid other people to do it for me. But then I was like, yeah, I'll buy a printing press. I guess I'll figure it out. So I like learned all of that this year.
Yeah.
From February until whatever today is, December something.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how far I've come, which, if you know anything about letterpress, is quite far in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
in less than a year, you're like, that's the majority of what you do now, right?
Yeah. I call myself a letterpress printer. Or what do I call it? What was I saying at the market the other day? We are a letterpress studio, Rhino.
Yes.
Yeah.
A letterpress design studio.
Yes.
In Rhino.
In Rhino.
Yes. And then you do day of wedding installations.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
I like to say letterpress design studio because that gets people like, wait, what? It's letterpress. But then I still do all the wedding stuff because like letterpress plus weddings equals like super clean, classy, very high-end wedding.
Right.
Look and feel, which is my favorite thing to do.
And they are super high end. Some of the projects you've done this year, I've been like, how? I mean, I've done that all 4 years or almost 4 years that you've been in business. I've always been like, oh, that is really beautiful. How did you do that?
Right.
You're a magician, but actually your husband.
My husband is the magician.
But he's what did we say? A magenius.
A magenius.
A magenius.
He's so cute. He calls himself my stationary engineer.
Oh, because he is an engineer.
He is an engineer, and he loves to come up with like solutions to problems. There we go.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to mention that, like, I've been working with you for the last month and a half now.
Yay.
And oh my gosh, it's been so much fun to like be working together and for me to like be able to see what you're doing and help in the hands-on aspect. But last night or yesterday.
Oh my gosh, that was yesterday. That feels like it was 1 year ago. I got feeling back in my ears.
Oh, I'm finally so glad.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we went to this really cool event for Google.
Yeah.
And we were wrapping gifts and selling your beautiful things, your holiday collection, all of your gift garnishes.
Gift garnishes are a thing now.
They are a thing. And watch out for Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day gift garnishes. So a gift garnish is a thing like a very fancy tag or ribbon, bow, or wax seal.
Did you know you can put wax seals on your gifts?
And then boom.
And then bing, bang, boom.
It makes it look so much better than your aunt's.
Yeah.
Poor Aunt Becky. There's always an Aunt Becky that's just like the worst person in the world for me. Like
it looks so... And you can put them on your forehead.
Well, okay, so at the first... You weren't there yet.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there yet.
And like I think Kim had even gone to the bathroom, so it was just me at the booth, and this kid comes up, and he buys 2 wax seals. Well, he pays for one, but I gave him 2 because his brother wanted one, and his brother was super cute, and he gave me $2, and I didn't have change. And I was like, well, just take 2. Just pick another one. And he goes, okay, I'll pick this one for my brother. And he gives it to his brother, and his brother puts it right on his forehead and then walks around. And I was like, that's a vibe that I'm into. I love your energy. I was just like...
So that became part of your, like, spiel yesterday.
Yes.
The Google Market was like, you can put them on your gifts, you can put them on your cards, you can put them on your forehead.
Put them on your cat. I don't care where you put them.
Yeah, but they're pretty.
But I think that people... they got a kick out of it because they were like, oh, that's super fun.
Yes.
So I think... That's just my quirky personality.
Yes. No,
are we gonna call it quirky? I don't know.
Full on comedian yesterday.
Yeah, I call it Coach Jo the comedian.
Which you had to be because it was freezing and we didn't have heat for most of the day while trying to wrap presents, which in case we didn't mention this, I don't remember if we talked about this on the first episode, but we met.
Oh gosh, at Zoo Lights.
And at Zoo Lights Denver. And that year, we were outside doing calligraphy on ornaments in the freezing cold. Like, and our pens
were freezing.
Yeah. So I think we all had a little bit of PTSD. And Kim
was there too.
And Kim, who's also your like right-hand lady at this point, she worked at Zoo Lights that same year. And that's how you met her too.
Yeah, and it was so cold that year that they actually like canceled Zoo Light dates because it was so cold.
Yes.
Because they're like, oh, we're not going to do it today. It's too cold. And I go, that sounds great. Love that for me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Thank you. My fingers might not turn black tonight. Yeah.
So it was, I think one of the warmest nights that I was there, it was like 15 degrees. It was
a really cold winter.
Cold.
So,
but anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, we did this really awesome event. I've had the privilege and honor of being able to work with Cara Jo.
Best.
And see how big and how much you're now doing. So you started just the beginning of this year in that studio, in that warehouse.
House. Well, I started in my house.
Oh, yeah, in your house. And then
I think like a week before I came to do the first one, to do the episode with you, I bought the printing press. And then, so I worked out of my brand new studio that my husband, who very nicely built for me in my house, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get another studio. Poor guy. But honestly, though, we did 90% of the work out of my house last year.
Yeah.
I say last year, like this year's already over and dead.
It is. I mean, at this point, it basically is. We've got like a few days.
Yeah.
Until
we've got like 14 days. Which
that's a few.
Still, like it's 2 weeks. Anywho, so I did all that work out of my studio at home, and I went up to the printing studio maybe once, maybe twice a week. Some days I wouldn't go up. Some weeks I wouldn't go up at all because I didn't make letterpress like a priority, especially since the people that I was working on in the spring and the summer had already booked a certain design and none of it was letterpress. And so then it was basically like the fall, winter, and then this year's weddings that were all letterpress. So I kind of had to like ramp up almost, but that was really great for me to like play and learn how to do things in the summer. So yeah, I spent most of my time at home, maybe 20% at the other studio.
Okay.
And then it took me forever to find that space. So I was being proactive in, I think, August. I was like, I'm going to find a new space. Like, I want a good space next time. Like, I don't want to be in a warehouse. And I spent like a couple months looking for some spaces, and I toured a couple, and I didn't really like they were going to be $40,000 for me to just renovate it. And I was like, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
So I was driving somewhere in Rhino, and I was like, this place looks cool. I think I remember they did office spaces. And so then I went home, typed it in, and I was like, oh, look, they do. And then I was like, yo, you got any spaces? Here are my very specific set of requirements.
Yeah.
And they're like, actually, we have one space that just vacated. I think it would be perfect for you. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And that's where we've been at.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a more perfect space at this time.
And I walked in. Kim and I went and we got a tour. We met the guy. And Kim and I basically just looked at each other and were like, this is it, isn't it? And it was. Mm-hmm. And it is.
And it is.
Yeah. And so I go, this looks great. We took some measurements, whatever. And he goes, well, think about it. And I was like, you can just send the contract over. Usually if I see something I know I like and I want it, I'm just like, that's mine now. I'll take it.
I think that might be part of the Enneagram 3 in you too.
Yeah.
You're like, I will achieve, I can achieve.
There's no other option.
Yes. And your studio is slowly, I'm sure, becoming known in that building as the Taylor Swift studio.
Well, luckily for everybody and us, the room is soundproof.
Yes.
Because there used to be a very large piece of machinery in there that made a lot of noise. So it's like double drywall. There's like a bunch of soundproofing foam in. Yeah. Like, because when we were drilling in, we were pulling bits of it out. So it's soundproof. I have blasted Taylor Swift in there and then like shut the door, walk down the hall, and then you can't hear
anything. But now you have that "Hi, it's me" card in the window.
I do.
So people still know.
They'll know. If you don't know by now, you should probably get with the times because it's for real.
Yeah. So yeah, Taylor Swift is would you call yourself a Swiftie?
Yes.
Yeah.
And sure. I'm just side note, I'm very upset that I did not get verified fans for her concert tickets of all of the people in the world. It's me. Hi. I'm a verified fan. I should be.
And you make all the things.
It's fine.
And you show all the peoples. And yeah.
It's fine.
But you got tickets.
But I got tickets.
You got tickets. Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Well, yeah. And that's all we need to talk about. Anyways. Okay,
Anyways.
so I forgot what I was...
So let's just go back a little bit to summer. Because I know that summer, as good as there were a lot of good things that happened, there was also a lot of very hard things that happened.
Oh my gosh, did I just say that?
Oh my gosh. Goulash?
I think I tried to say gosh and goodness all at the same time.
It's cute.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you kind of sound like you're Canadian or something.
Well, I mean, it's probably the Michigan in me.
Yes.
Yeah, like
that's it.
Whenever I say bag or calendar.
Bag. Or how do you say dock?
Like a boat dock?
Yeah. You just said it normal.
Oh, like a normal person would?
Yeah.
But did you hear how I said like boat? Is that bad? Boat?
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 Sounds the same.
Did a word just become a sound? Boat.
Okay, so back to the summer.
The summer. Where I wish I was in a boat. Yeah. Yeah, the summer was intense. We did a lot of day of stuff. We kind of very quickly got seen. Let me start that over. We very quickly became seen as the people who made those large installations. I say it like I draw this cute little square, like it's just a little boot.
But really, like
they're 8 feet tall,
yeah.
8 feet wide, and 2 feet deep usually with the stands and stuff. And we had one in the planners, like they want a impactful thing, they want this, they want that. That's all I know. You go to town, figure it out. This is where I excel. So we designed something. I had, I think, 7? No. There was a bunch of watercolor paintings of all of the cities that they either had met in, lived in, vacation, like impactful locations. We all have those in our relationships. And so I painted every single one of them. I think there was 12. And then we did calligraphy for their guest names. And then we mounted it on 8 foot by 8 foot boards. And we did it so that it was like standoff. So it was like coming off the wall a little bit. So it looked like you were at like an art gallery, like literally in the middle of a field. It was like a field, some trees, and then like a building over here. And that was it. And we like erected this wall in the middle of nowhere.
It was beautiful.
And it was beautiful. And it basically blew up my Instagram. And we were getting inquiries for that type of installation, 5 a week almost, like 1 every day, basically. Whoa. And, we can't do them all, which is fine. I want to do them all, but I can't. I have to be realistic. So then, like, even my current clients were like, I didn't know you did that. And I was like, I guess I do. So we started doing those. And that's when we started really being seen as, like, day of people. And so now people book us for their day of stuff. And I mean, obviously they're invites, but now it's like, oh, I want you to do both, because there's not a ton of people in Colorado, stationers, that offer both and want to do both.
Right.
Like,
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And, there's a couple of us, but we're all different. Right. We all have different styles. So, if you have a specific style, you go to this person. If you have another one, you go to this person. So, yeah, that was like, we just took off like a cute little rocket to stationary space. Like, it was insanity. Yeah. So you will hit 10,000 followers. I did.
And that was a year-end goal, right?
Yeah, and I think I did it in the middle of, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
the summer.
It was like the summer, that's a big deal for a small business, especially because Instagram has come out and basically said, like, we're going to promote like smaller people, whatever. And you were able to like blow up during all of this weird Instagram stuff that was happening anyways. Oh yeah,
and then my Insta, like, there was that weird thing where everybody's accounts got disabled and I had a small panic attack.
That's right. Because is that where you get the majority of your leads at this point?
Yes and no. Actually, a lot of people find me on Google. And so, or they find me on Instagram and then they reach out via the website.
Okay.
But I would say it's 50-50. Like, of the paid inquiries that we get, it's like Google, Instagram.
Okay.
There are people who find me on Pinterest, but that's because I don't, like, a small amount. I don't put a ton of effort into Pinterest. I need to, but
it is what it is.
Maybe it's a 2023 goal.
Yeah. There we go. Pinterest.
Well, content creation is definitely a 2023 goal, but it's whatever.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, yeah, all in the same realm. So
Yes.
summer.
So summer. We had to
So
learn
it
a lot
was-
of things.
Yeah, you did a lot of things. You grew really quick. There's a lot of inquiries. You did that big installation, but you also had to learn some pretty hard lessons.
Oh, yeah. So, we had to build all those things from scratch, all of those boards. And there was this one client who we had billed her for, I mean, I'm going to just start with this one. There was like 5, but we'll start with this one because it just is good segue. So we reuse our boards because it seems extremely wasteful for me to build you this 8-foot board and then just toss it in the trash.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do that. I will reuse it. And so we had quoted her for an 8x8-foot board, and we had all the plans to do an 8x8-foot board. Like, we designed all of the stuff for it. We purchased all of the things for it, all this stuff. And I think it was like 2 weeks or maybe a week and a half. I feel like it was a week and a half before the wedding. And I get an email saying, hey, is there any way, like a little part of me dies every time I have to say this, that we can just cut off 2 feet of the board so that it can be 6 feet wide? No, you can't. Like, they're full, like, contained, they're like boxes.
Right.
I can't just, boop, cut 2 feet off. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So we had to build a whole new set of boards. And, like, the first set took us 2 weeks to build because it was our first one. We tried to make it as structurally sound as possible and reusable and all this other stuff. And so I had a friend on Instagram who builds these a lot, and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, help. Hi, help. How do I do this quickly? So she actually sent me like a bunch of plans and stuff. And so then Kim and I actually built this 6-foot board by 8 foot tall. We built it in a day, like just the two of us. And my husband, I think it pained him because he was like opening his office. He's like, do you ladies need any help? We're like, no, we're good. Like,
but in your soul, you're like, this is so satisfying.
Yeah, it really was. But he did, like, there were some things like we just did not physically have the strength to do things ourselves. I didn't know that he had a tool for that. And then he came out and he helped me finish because Kim had to go pick up her kids. And so then she left. Also, we did this in like the time that she came and then picked up her kids. So, like, not a full day.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's, yeah.
We were like, let's get this done. And so then, we get there. So the reason that they had to do that was because they measured the space wrong. And it was going in a confined space that was only 7 feet wide. And they're like, so we'll just, instead of 7 feet, we'll do 6 feet. Because, like, a 7-foot wide board would be annoying to build. Like, it's just 7, it's 8 or 7. Like, no, we'll just do 6. Which has actually worked out really great because we've used that set of boards, like, many times now because they're like, oh, 8 feet's just too wide. And I was like, that's great because I have a 6-foot one. Like, oh, perfect.
That's awesome.
And so then that was like lesson 1 with that was like, maybe we should measure the space that it's going in. So now I'm very adamant about getting specific. Like, where is it going? Is it going up the stairs? Is it going, like, what is the height of the ceiling? Because we've run into that before too. Does the elevator, how tall is the elevator? Because, like, last weekend, that elevator, they told me it was a freight elevator and that it would fit my boards. Jokes. No. It fit the boards, but you had to lay it down sideways. And thank goodness that that elevator was wide enough diagonally. Every time I say diagonally, it makes me think of Harry Potter and the Diagon Alley. Anyways.
Love it.
That's where my brain's at. So, and like that board that we had done for the 6-foot was supposed to have this beautifully, like they wanted this like layer of textures on it. And it was supposed to have a textured wallpaper painted like a neutral color. And then a velvet seating chart hanging from it. That was like another neutral color. So it was this like play on like, like a hard texture versus like a soft texture. And they had picked out the velvet and all this stuff. There's like, I think 4 velvets that I could print on. They picked out this one and we sent it to print and I got it 2 days, Thursday. I think I got it Thursday and the wedding was Saturday. I was freaking out. Like another thing I learned from this project was that like, we need to get seating charts you need to know where your people are sitting more than 2 weeks in advance. You need to know where your people are sitting like 6 weeks in advance if possible. And if you can't, then like we need to have a different conversation. So that was a fun lesson. So because I get all my fabric printed and it comes from London, so like it can get like there's a variable amount of things that can go wrong.
Right.
So it shows up and so the board is a warm like taupey color. And the velvet that showed up was a bright white. It was cringy to look at. I was like, ugh, I could not look at it.
And it wasn't what was the sample?
It was. But like it printed. So the way the velvet, and it was going to be outside. So, but the way the velvet was designed is it would reflect the light that was around it.
Oh.
And so it was outside. It was reflecting the blue sky. It's Colorado. The sky's always blue. And so it was very blue toned against the warm color. And I was just like, oh, and you couldn't read it because of the weird reflection. I was like, I can't do this. So I called up the planner and I was like, I can't do this in good conscience. Like, I can't give you this the way it is. So what we did is instead we did acrylic, frosted acrylic, and I wish you were here this day, but thank God Kim knows calligraphy and how to write on surfaces with pens.
Yeah. Which
is not a skill that everybody has, I've learned. It's definitely not a thing that people do all the time. So we sat there and we wrote all 180 freaking names on this acrylic in like a day. I had a concert on Friday, so like I couldn't do this like any other, like it had to be done. And so, because we got the acrylic Friday morning, because this all happened Thursday, and the acrylic place was closed, so there was no way I could even get it Thursday. And so I called up my acrylic guys Friday morning, and I was like, hey, help, hi. And they've bailed me out of so many things. They like delivered it to my house and all this stuff. And Kim and we traced all those. It was 5 panels. And it actually turned out like really good. Like it looked so good. Like my only complaint about it is that the brown pen, like the cap of the brown pen didn't match the color. And so it was like a little bit of an orangey brown, and she wanted like a little bit more of a darker brown.
Okay.
And that was it. But she still loved it.
Okay, good.
There was no like, but I was stressed out and like I felt terrible about it. I think I gave them a small discount, but like honestly, everybody was happy in the end.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I learned so many things from that. Like timelines. 2023 is going to be your year of the timeline is what we're calling it. You know, for like it could have been, this all could have been solved, and she still could have had the velvet if we had her seating chart table assignments figured out more than 2 weeks in advance.
Right.
So
many
lessons. Now we're like, no, I need all this stuff.
Yeah. So now you've learned how to like prevent that from happening by being more on top of those timelines.
Exactly. So that's been fun. And also
Super
velvet
fun.
Reflects the light that's around it. So
fun fact.
Yeah, and if you print it white, it's going to be all the colors around it.
Yeah.
Versus like I've done it before where it's like dark blue.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine. But
white. So like in this room, the pink would reflect off of it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It would be a weird color.
Yeah. Interesting. That's, yeah.
And everything in her wedding was warm tones.
Yeah.
There was not a cool tone in there. So I was panicking. I was straight panicking.
But you did it.
I did it. Yeah, I fixed it.
I think that it's really good that you're bringing this up and you're like telling the behind the scenes of this specific story, because a lot of people would probably look at your Instagram and they would be like, oh my gosh, she's just like smooth sails through life. And she's grown her Instagram because like she makes all these pretty things and everything's perfect. And she's the queen of art, color, and perfection, as your first episode is called. Like it's so easy for her, but it's not.
It's not. No.
It's not easy for you. It's not easy for anybody who's, using their craft to serve other people in any way. But especially not in this last year for you, when you've been like, you went from just doing invitation design pretty much last year.
Yeah,
to
I did like a little bit of day of last year.
Yeah.
Nothing. I did like 2 big boards. They were flat. They were very flat in comparison to what I'm doing now. But I mean, they were still really, really cool, but the stuff I did this year is like next level cool for me. And the stuff we're doing in 2023,
even
next
more
level.
next level. Elevating.
Like level 11, next level.
It's so exciting. But I do want to just like stop for a minute and just talk about how much you've had to put into that. And like, it's not like you get to just work 9 to 5 and the problems work out, and like you can avoid the unfortunate part of the hustle that a lot of times the kind of work that you're doing specifically takes.
Oh yeah,
because it's all hands on. The creative part is entirely from your mind.
Yeah,
which is a lot of thought work.
Yeah, it's a lot of mind.
It's a lot. It's exhausting though,
is,
and it's not like as much as it is your passion and it's definitely what you're called to do, and it's everything is beautiful. It's not easy.
Oh gosh, no.
And people think all the time. I'm sure people are like, "Oh, it's probably so easy for her because she's so creative and it's natural." Yeah. It's like, no,
I bust my ass to do it all.
Yeah,
like I had a couple. So I had these envelopes, and I print the return address and the guest address on all of our clients' envelopes. And I forgot one number in their return address. So, and then we shipped them out. Like if their address was like 4328 West Evans Avenue or whatever, I did like 238 West Evans Avenue.
Oh, so like the first number.
The first number, because I copy and pasted it, and I didn't check. So now we triple check.
Right.
Because
you did that for like the whole entire...
The whole suite, all the guests. And...
Did they all come back?
Oh, no, because they would have gone to nowhere. Like it was the return address of the client. So like your return address. If you messed up, yeah. So like if somebody didn't get their invitation, like they don't know.
Right. So what did you...
I just gave them a discount on their day of stuff. There was nothing I could do. Right. Like I couldn't. What I did think about doing was like sending out little postcards saying, "Hey, looks like something happened with our return address. Just in case you need it, this is our updated one. If you did not receive your invitation, please let us know. We'll send you a new one." But they didn't. They're like, "It's okay."
Okay, so it was just the return address. Yeah. It wasn't the actual guest address. Okay.
I did do that once though. I did write in calligraphy 100 envelopes. 100 envelopes, probably more actually. And the address, so if it was like 1355 Main Street, it was 1356. I don't know how I did it in Excel, but like I added one digit to every single, like one incremental digit. So 1356, 2390, it would be 2391.
Oh my God.
To every single address. And I wrote them all.
And then you realized it?
No. I gave them to the guests or the client, and she's like, "These are all wrong." And I was like, "What do you..."
Was that at the beginning?
Yeah, that was like year 1.5, like 1.
Yeah.
And so then my husband wrote, he's like, "It's because you did this in Excel wrong." He's like, "Let me write you a formula."
Of course he did. He's a little genius.
Yeah, he is. So, and then what else did I do this year? Oh, gosh, this one was big. Okay, so we made these little passport booklets for this wedding invite. And it was the invite and then the passport booklet because they were going to Italy and all of their guests, it was like a multi-day event. And there was like the rehearsal dinner and then this and then this and then the, farewell brunch. But then there was all these other activities that they could do. And then there was shuttles and hotels and like all this. It was a lot of information that they needed that was not going to fit on a little cutie patootie details card.
Right.
And they didn't want to put it on the website because if everybody's traveling internationally, they might not have access to the internet, or whatever. Yeah. So they wanted to have something that they could take with them. And so I made these cute custom passport books, and I came up with the idea, the like layout and everything. And it was cardstock cover, text weight, pages inside, and I sewed it like on my sewing machine. And I think it was 100-ish. So there was 80. I remember there was like 80 that were invited to this one thing, and then a few that were not invited to that thing. So there was 2 versions of it. 2 versions. And I had a fold-out map and everything. It was bonkers.
Yeah.
So my husband is helping me trim like he's not even helping me. He's like cooking dinner or something. And I was working in the kitchen. And I like go to pull something out of her box because I was like, I'm done. I did it. I'm ahead. And I go to pull something out of her box. I think it was the scissors. And I look and there's this like other stack of paper in there. And I was like, what's this paper? And I pull it out and it's literally like all the activities.
Oh, no.
And it was all the pages. Like every single person
Booklet,
needed this page.
yeah.
And I just lost it. I was crying. It was dripping down my chin. I was so mad. I think I like broke a pencil. I always like to break pencils when I'm upset.
I actually heard
why.
that that's like a good thing to
Yeah.
teach your children, like if they are struggling with,
Yeah.
getting out there. It's like a harmless thing to break.
Yeah. Of all the things to break, a pencil. Okay.
Yeah.
I have like 100 more. So, and then I think I like just screamed really. Have you ever just screamed really loud when you're very frustrated? And my poor cats were like, oh gosh, she can make it. But and then I was like, okay, how can I solve this problem? I mean, bless my husband, because he was like, okay, where does it need to go? He was like asking me all these questions. And I used to get very annoyed with his questions because I'd be like, oh my God, stop asking me questions.
Yeah.
But he's really just helping me work through the problem. And he was like, okay, so it's the last page. Is there any way you can glue it in? And I go, no, because it would look like it's double-sided. And so like if you glued it in, it would stick out or it would tear. And I go, the only solution would be to
unstitch everything. Right?
I was like, remake them all. Like also the fronts were foil stamped, rounded corners, scored, and everything. Took 3 weeks to make, just the covers. And I was like, and that's why I'm going to get a foil stamper next year, is because I'm not waiting 3 weeks.
Another lesson learned.
Yeah, I'm never waiting 3 weeks again for that. Because, like, side note, there are letterpress printers out there that have certain timelines. Like, it takes me 2 weeks to do something. I love that. That's their timeline. For me, I'm like, that's not quick enough, because I need to allot time for me to screw up and be able to fix it. And if I have to wait another 2 weeks, like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want to do that. So for me, if I can do it in 2 days, I screwed up. Okay, I have another 2 days I can do this in. That like cuts my timeline down. So that's why I'm just going to get a foil printer. I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to learn that next year. So the only solution that we could come up with was to unstitch all 100 of these booklets, right? And my husband, he's like, okay, well, you're going to eat some food first. That's what you're going to do, number one. And I'm like, okay, sounds great. He's like, you're going to have a little glass of wine, a tiny wine. And I'm like, okay, love that idea. So then we calmed down and he said, okay, so now show me how to do this. So I showed him how to do the seam ripper, and he seam ripped every single one of those, and he put the sheet in where it needed to go. And then he was like, okay, now every 5 we need to check. And so every 5 we checked. Okay, good. We're good. Like we're still good. And so when you sew paper or when you sew fabric and you unrip it, like the holes close back up again. Based on, in most fabrics. But when you sew paper and you poke a hole in it, that hole's there. The hole's there forever.
Yeah.
So I had to line up each stitch in
the same
hole.
Wow. And you did it.
And I did it. And I still got the invites out on time. And like, I just was so beside. I was like, well, so now we check every like few. Okay, we're still good. Because now I can't screw up like that again. Yeah, that one was intense. Yeah, I cried a lot for that one.
I love that. Like, one thing that you're doing right now is you're like admitting your mistakes, though.
Oh, yeah.
And like the power of admitting your mistakes is incredibly freeing in a sense. And then it also really helps you to learn that lesson. Like, one thing that I always say is like, I want to be a lesson learner, not a lesson repeater, because I think a lot of us, and like there are times, of course, that we continue like, why did I do that again? Like, I already learned that lesson. Am I dumb? Like, what's going on?
Why?
Yes.
Why am I like this?
Yes. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm human. But But like when we're intentional
Mhm.
about like, okay, this is the lesson I learned from
Yeah.
this mistake, and what I can do to prevent it next time
Mhm.
is X, Y, and Z.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you continue to grow and continue to like be in that growth cycle so that it's
Yeah.
not like destroy you. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
destroy you.
I think a lot of people don't, like, if they make a mistake, they don't talk about it. And I think there's a lot to be learned from that
Mm-hmm.
that can make it so you don't make that mistake again.
Right.
And everybody's going to make a mistake. I've made tons.
Right.
Like, I forget to buy the right stamps, and then somebody has to go drive around town and find the right stamps, you know?
Right.
So now we like, okay, what stamps do we need? You know,
Right.
how do we have enough? Do we have enough envelopes? Like,
Yes.
we make sure, is this the right color?
Yes, you
'Cause
double,
we've
triple check
screwed up
everything.
that so many times, like not ordering enough envelopes, not ordering enough stamps. And it's just now when somebody says, oh, well, we have 120 guests, I order 200 stamps.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't even care.
Yeah. Well,
So-
yeah, you have to account for
Yeah.
human error, especially like
Oh, yeah.
with what you're doing in the quantity that you're doing it,
hmm
and the importance that like just being in the wedding industry
Yeah.
in general was so stressful for me. I
gosh.
knew by year one, like, no, I can't, like, don't think I could
Right.
actually handle being like the name, the face,
Yeah.
the like owner of this company, be like
Yeah.
working with brides who are like
Yeah, they're intense sometimes, but
spending a lot of money too to like have this
Yeah.
thing perfect. And as much as I feel like I'm a perfectionist, I'm like a perfectionist of words
yeah.
in spoken words and written words. And I've realized like that's a mistake that I made when I was doing
Mhm.
more. I mean, I was never really doing invitation design or anything like that. But when I was doing more lettering and doing more custom art and design, I was like, this, like the amount of mistakes that I was making and like how much they weighed on me
Yeah.
made me realize like the lesson in that was that this wasn't right for me. Like that wasn't
Yeah.
the industry that was right for me. I can help and I want to use my creative
Right?
skills, but I don't want like that wasn't for me. And I think like that's the difference between
Yeah.
you and I is like that is for you. That's a
Yeah.
huge gifting. You have this incredible ability and the ability to pull people together to make these big things
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
And to use your skills
Yeah.
to help other people to also use their skills
Mhm.
then to create an outcome that affects the person that you're serving, your client,
Yeah.
in a positive way,
Right.
which is like the end goal. That's always
We got to
the
get them
end goal.
married.
Yeah, they got to get
They
married.
got to get married.
And it's got to be pretty.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty. It's got to be legible.
Yes.
So I think, I mean, you've probably been in the studio with me when like we'll mess up something and I'll be like, it's okay. We'll figure it out. You know,
Mhm.
I think like, I don't expect everybody to make anything perfect the first time or the 10th time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of practice. And
Yeah.
sometimes I get really hard on myself. I'm like, why can't I do this? Ugh. And I like the other day I was trying to build a desk and I was like, this is not hard. Why do I keep screwing up? And Heather was like, why don't you go take a walk? And I was like, I don't wanna. And I was like, I have to go pee. And she's like, go pee. And I was like, fine. And then I left and I was like, wow, okay, so me having to pee was the thing that was irritating me in that moment. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes there's like yesterday at that Google thing, I was trying to do something and I was cold and I had this scarf around my neck and I couldn't turn my head. And I was like, and it was the scarf. And I was like, I just undid it once. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I can move my head. That was the thing that was irritating me.
Yeah.
It wasn't the paper. It wasn't the tape. It was
It's
the scarf.
that act
Yeah.
of slowing down to
Yeah.
like check in with yourself and be like, wait.
Wait.
I think I'm frustrated about this thing, but like, what am I actually feeling in my body?
Yeah.
Where am I at in my mind? And what do I need to do to
Yeah.
like move through this?
Right.
Which I think is something that like you're working on, I'm working on, we're all working on.
Yeah. Do
in
you ever wear
different ways.
clothes that just like drive you crazy?
Yeah,
You're
every
like,
day.
This is the thing that's making me irritated, but however, I am not at a place where I can
Yeah.
just take off my clothes.
Was there any point in this last year where you were like, I don't want to do this anymore?
Absolutely.
How did you move through
definitely
that?
texted Kim and I said, I think I want to quit.
And how did you move through that?
I think I cried a lot gosh, when was that? What wedding was that? I don't even, it was towards the end of the summer. I don't think it was a specific wedding though.
Yeah.
I think it was just a lot
compilation of
things that, and I felt like every single, like, we were so busy. We had overbooked, and then, well, we had booked enough, and then people started adding things on. So there was like scope creep, that was on me. Like,
what's that?
So scope creep is when you say, I want this. And then I say, okay, I'll build you that. And then you say, I actually want this. And you say, but I've only allotted time for me to build you this.
Right.
Small thing. But now you want a bigger thing. And I haven't, like, I don't have enough time or materials, or you haven't compensated me for that or whatever. So that's like scope creep. It's basically like, you want one thing, we bill you for that thing. And then you turn around, you want to add on
to it.
But we didn't set that expectation in the beginning.
Okay.
So we had a lot of scope creep, which was on me. Like, and so now we're working on making sure that doesn't happen next year. So we're trying really hard to set expectations for both parties, like, in the beginning. And I think what happened last year was we had scope creep of, like, people adding on day of stuff that was just so big and so intense. And I lost it. And I was like, I'm done. I hate everything. I hate everybody. I hate my job. I hate art. I hate everything. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I think I, like, put a hoodie on. I wrapped myself in a heated blanket and I sat downstairs, and I think I watched, like, Sailor Moon or something. Like, something really girly and stupid. And I texted Kim and I was like, I hate everything. I'm quitting. And then I, like, threw my phone. She probably was like, And then I said, jokes, I'm fine. I needed a moment.
But so, like, you just really slowed down in that moment to, like, process or, like, just be with yourself and let yourself feel that way so that you could, like, recover. In a sense.
I just, like, I needed a minute.
You needed a minute.
I needed a minute. But honestly, it was, I think, and then I think there were people who were, like, unsatisfied with something. I can't even remember. And that made me feel terrible. That made me feel like I absolutely failed them.
Right.
And, you know, it was just like, and things were starting to go out late because we were overwhelmed, because we had scope creep. And it was like, we didn't have expectation. And it was, I think it was like 1 month of just, I hated everything. And I was a grumpy little girl. I was a grumpy girl.
But you
thankfully everybody stuck around and they understood, and I apologized to everybody. I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm not normally like this. I'm just like, everything is a mess.
It's overwhelming. And I think, like, part of that, it sounds like you that you absolutely hit a point of burnout.
I did. Oh, like,
which
three
is
times.
At least this many times.
At least this many times.
Which I think in a lot of circles, like, people think you hit burnout and then it's done and it's over. But, like, a lot of times you continue to hit those blocks, and they're really emotional blocks, which I think ties in really well to, like, what I've been doing with creative processing and teaching about. Do you know, like, my definition for creative processing? I can remind you.
Can you remind me, please?
Yes, absolutely. So it's activating your creative mind to process through a certain intention.
Yes.
And one thing that I talk about in the first, like, season, when I really was just barely understanding what creative processing was in my own life, I talked about getting to this point as a creative, specifically where you start hating what you're creating.
Yep. Hating what you're creating.
Hating what you're creating.
That's got a good sound.
And that's why, like, that's something that I faced and continue to face when I am, especially when I'm, like, really heavily doing the creative things, lettering, design, all of that. Because it takes so much thought work, and it's also like, this is my baby. This is like my art. This is a representation of who I am. And like, if I start hating that, then I'm kind of starting to hate who I am, you know? So that connection of, like, oh my gosh. So creative processing, where that comes in, is it's like, it's a tool, it's a coping skill, but it's a tangible practice that you can engage in. And it's just a prompt in your mind where you can continue to create in the ways that you want to. But it's in the first episode, you talked about how playing was a creative processing method for you, and how you have certain things that are like what you do for playtime versus what you do for your job. And so with creative processing, it would be like, I'm going to knit right now to process through the burnout that I'm feeling because of X, Y, and Z, a frustrating client, something, I don't know, something your cat got into, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that's stirring up that emotional tension within you, you intentionally choose to create something that like in a way that brings you joy with intention, so that you're working through that block tangibly, so that by the end, maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 3 hours, maybe it's watching Sailor Moon too. Man. Like there's all of these different ways. Like a lot of people think your creative mind is only like what you create art with your hands, and it's not. No. Like you also are a very systematic person. You create
yes, I am.
systems and spreadsheets and all of these things, and that is a way that you continue to activate your creative mind. Yeah. And it's that intention piece that brings that immediate tangible change. Like that. Yeah. It just is how our minds work psychologically. It's that act of slowing down with yourself, setting that intention, doing something, and then at the end of it you have an internal result. So like creative process, the difference between creative process and creative processing is that the creative process leads to an external result and creative processing leads to an internal result. So it's about the inside, like really being able to align with what you're doing, who you are, and connecting with that piece of you so that you can walk forward and have that like clarity, joy, renewed excitement, all of those things that like we want to live in 24/7. Yeah. But the reality is we can't. No. Because we're humans. So when we face those blocks, what do? A lot of times we can identify that problem, but like how the hell do we get from identifying the problem to actually conquering the problem? And when you're facing it, it's like the last thing you want to do is the right thing, right?
Right, yeah.
So if you can make it a little bit more fun, and for me, like it's that when you know better, you do better type of thing. Like I know that if I just take for me, writing is my primary creative processing method. Yeah. So if I just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes I'll be like, I'm going to do 15 minutes and I'll set a timer on my watch. And then I end up like repeating that timer 6 times, but whatever.
That's like me in the morning.
Yeah.
With my snooze.
With your snooze. Yeah. Sleep.
I love
me too.
Sleep.
I do the exact same thing.
Sometimes creative processing for me is actually going and taking a nap.
I think yes. I think that can absolutely be a way, because you have to like rest your mind too.
I also get a lot of ideas when I'm asleep, or like right before I fall asleep, or right when I wake up. I would say really 90% of my creative ideas happen either right before I fall asleep, in my dream at some point. Yeah. I'll like wake up at 3:00 in the morning with an idea. Or in the shower.
Shower's a big one for me too.
Keith and I, we talk a lot like through the shower. So like he'll be out in the area, like the bathroom or like in the bedroom, and I'll just be like, blah 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 blah, and like, what do you think about this? And then I'm like trying to illustrate it, but like he doesn't have his glasses on and I don't have mine on. And I was like, I'll tell you later.
Well, yes, exactly. So,
also walks,
that's a big one too. And what you said in the pre-interview form was music. You also have a notebook of ideas that you write down when you're feeling blah, and then you flip through that to find something to work on that will re-inspire me. Which is that like kind of like a playbook? Like it is. All of the things.
A playbook.
I like that.
I like that.
It makes you sound sporty too.
It does. I'm so sporty.
Such a sporty human. Creative, sporty, all the things.
Yeah, like the It's Me High card was in there.
Okay.
And I got, so the 3D ornaments were a result of play that we did. The buckle tags were also a result. Like, I'm just saying relevant things that we just did. But a lot
I think it's really interesting that you figured out a way, because that was one thing that I kind of warned against. But in the last 2.5 years of really studying and figuring out what does creative processing really look like for people, what I've realized is like that I wasn't quite spot on in the first season when I was talking about it, because I hadn't learned enough. But what's really interesting with you is that you are able to turn in that, like, you are able to monetize something that you've done for play. Yeah. The part that you have to be careful about is putting too much pressure on yourself about selling that thing as a result of play, right? Like, because you don't want your heart then to be like, oh, nobody likes this thing that I loved to create. And it's like that.
I've started though, and this is just because of my history as like And so in college, we had a lot of like critiques.
Yeah.
And I learned through all of those that like, even if you love making something and people don't like it, that doesn't make it any less valuable.
Exactly.
And so if I make a bunch of things and nobody buys them, like, that's fine. I just have a bunch of things that I like now.
Yeah. And you get to use, and they are really valuable.
Yeah. Like a card that says it's me high, like, if you buy it, great. If you don't buy it, great. I'm going to send it to my friend anyways.
Yeah.
Like,
which everybody loves those, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually going to go make some more today.
Yay!
And, I'm going to make one that says, you make the whole room shimmer, and the shimmer is going to be really big. And I wish I had my foil press because I would make the word shimmer in foil.
Can you do, this is a totally random question, but can you do like sparkly ink on?
It doesn't look good.
It doesn't
looks
look
muddy.
Good. Okay.
It looks like if glitter like spent the weekend in the woods. And it just got like gross.
Nobody likes dirty glitter.
Nobody wants a dirty glitter card.
No. But it's going to look amazing.
Put that on a t-shirt.
I think I might. We have a whole list of like inappropriate t-shirt sayings. And
I love that.
Nobody wants dirty glitter.
So a lot of my play does result in products, but I think that's just because I show so much of my process on Instagram, and a lot of that process is a lot of my playtime. Mm-hmm. And people get really excited about it, and I think
and you're a 3, so you're motivated by when people get excited about that.
I am extremely motivated when people tell me I could do a good job and that they like the thing that I did, which is great that I'm in the wedding industry. But because everybody's like, oh my gosh, everything is so pretty. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I love it. I love that you love it. Like, when people love the things I make them, like, I'm genuinely serious when I say I love that they love them, because it's the thing that keeps me going. And so when somebody doesn't love the thing that I made them, that makes me very sad and upset. But I think there's a difference between they asked me to make them something, I made them the thing, and they didn't like it, versus I made the thing because I wanted to make it and you didn't like it. That's fine. I don't care if you don't like it.
Yeah.
I made it for me. I didn't make it for you.
Yeah. It's almost like that disappointment piece is added in, where you feel like you've disappointed someone.
Yeah.
But also you're a human.
Right.
You can't, there's like no way. And actually one thing that I heard last week in a video that was like super impactful specifically about this was like the people that are in your life who are here, who are truly your people, they will never be disappointed in you, ever. Yeah. They exist to raise you up. Yeah. Not to tear you down. Right. And I mean, obviously someone can share like maybe we could, there's a way to share critiques in a loving way. Yeah. But when people are like, I don't like that. They're just there to tear you down. That's not a person you need in your life. That's not a client that you need to be serving. Like, you might have to carry that out because you have a contract. Or whatever. But it's not I just think that keeping in mind that, like, that's not a real reflection on you necessarily, as much as, like, how they responded to you is a reflection on them. Exactly. If they didn't like it, okay, like, that's their right, whatever. Yeah. But how they responded to that and how they express that, if they're rude about it, then they're not there to raise you up. Yeah. They're not there to help you. They're not there to, like, serve, to be a good human, essentially. Just be a good person.
Be a good person. Sounds like a them problem, not a me problem.
Exactly.
It's my new favorite phrase. That's a them problem, not a me problem.
I also like not my circus, not my monkeys.
Oh, interesting.
That's a good one, too. Yeah, it's like, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yeah. But, being, like, making things and having people buy them is very satisfying. But I used to get very upset when people didn't buy them. But now it's fine. You don't like it. That's okay. There's lots of things I see on the internet that I don't like. Right. I just don't buy them. Exactly. And that's okay. I know I'm probably disappointing somebody, but how would I know that?
And also, you can't control that. You can't control
I can't control the internet.
No, not at all. But I'm really proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you came here and you shared about both the good things that have happened this year. So, real quick overview, you set a monetary goal.
Oh, I did.
You hit it in 5 months. Is that right?
What was the monetary goal again? I can't even remember.
Was it 150 this year? Because you hit 100 last year, right?
Yeah, so last year I did 100.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I was like pouring a glass of champagne ready to celebrate, and it was like cha-ching, and I go, oh my God, I hit 100. Pop more bubbly. Yeah. And so then this year I hit 100 in, I believe, the first 4 months, I believe. I feel like that
Wow.
sounds right. And then I hit 150 in like a couple more months. And then I hit 175, which was my like stretch goal. And as of today, we're like at 200. Which is
That's
like
so exciting.
what?
Wow.
And so it was really interesting at that Google event yesterday. I saw a guy that I used to work with like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know what like things were like going through my mind after that event, because I used to work in tech, and so like I used to be in that world. And I saw this guy yesterday that I used to work. He like was in my interview at the job that I got that moved me to Colorado. So it was this like full circle moment of like reflection for me. And he goes, "Wait, I know you." And I was like, "Yes, you do. I used to work with you." He goes, "Oh my God, that was like 10 years ago." I go, "I know." And he's like, "Why? Wait. Why? Wait."
Yeah.
Like his brain stopped. He's like, why are you here?" I think he was trying to find a nice way of saying like, "Why are you here?"
Yeah.
And so I go, "Oh, I'm over there doing the gift wrapping tent. They invited my company to come do gift wrapping and then also sell our goods." And he goes, "Oh, what company do you work for?" And I go, "It's my company. Like, it's mine." And he goes, "Oh." And I could tell he almost said, "Oh, that's cute."
Oh, gosh.
But he goes, "Oh, I bet it's like something super artsy." And I go, "Yeah, we're a luxury letterpress studio." And he goes, "That sounds about right." I go, "Uh-huh." And he's like, "That's really cool." And I go, "I know." And then I just like walked away, and I thought, like, I'm super awkward.
I can so picture that.
I think I go, "Was that macaroni and cheese in your bowl?" I think like as I left, and I was like, "Why did I say that? Why am I like this?" But
because this is your baby.
yeah, and I'm just like I'm very awkward. Like I met another printer in California, and I go, "It's so good to meet you in your face." And I go, "I don't know why I said that. I'm just awkward." And she's like, "It's nice to meet you in your face too." And I go, "Thank you."
I love when people are like, "Yes."
They're like, "We got you."
Yeah, we're here.
Pick up what you're putting
Here
down.
for it.
But so when I was in tech, like I made like 100. I think the most I ever made when I was working in tech was like 135 or something. And it's been really interesting seeing tech people again. And they go, "Oh my gosh, are you like making money? Are you like doing things?
Are you okay?
Are you okay? Is this like a part-time hobby thing?" And like they get this like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cute," like tone. And I'm like, "No, honey, this is a full-fledged business. This is a company. We have staff. We have an office space. Like we have like, we do stuff." And they go, "Oh, wait, it's like legit." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm like super legit pro," and I think it was really interesting seeing some of those people like, and it was just like triggering a lot of the like people in my past, like thinking about them.
Yeah.
It was really interesting thoughts I had yesterday.
It's crazy how like it's like one of those full circle moments of like, I know you think that like artists are all starving artists, but like we're not all out here starving. Like we're making, and even if you're not making a ton of money, like hopefully you're living in your purpose and you have a lot happier life now.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the thing that you've been called to do.
Right. Like we do work for some really cool companies. Like we do work for like Hennessy and now Google, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's not just like, "Oh, I think I'll sell like a cute little greeting card on Etsy." I also hate it. I do have an Etsy shop, but I do hate it when people go, "Oh, so do you have like a little Etsy shop?" And I go, "Oh, honey, can you like not use that tone with me?" Like
you're like, "I'm offended."
I go, "Well, I just started my Etsy shop, but it's just because I wanted to, expand my audience." And they go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Like, don't know how to reply. Yeah. Well, you have a really exciting year coming up with 2023. Yeah. I'm so proud of you for hitting your, like, blowing your monetary goals out of the water this year. Even though 2022 was 22 years long.
It was. Facts.
And you wanted to quit at one point. You didn't. You kept showing up. You kept pushing forward.
Yep.
You have inspired a lot of people, even I'm sure in this episode, to just like keep moving forward. Like sometimes it really does suck and you hit a wall and you're like, I can't do this. But if you keep pushing through that, freedom really is on the other side of that really uncomfortable place.
I also think one thing that I did this year is I have a group of friends that we all text each other when we like screw up, like royally screw up. And it's just like, hey, I messed up. And then it's like, text message, right? And so it's been really helpful to have those people that are in the industry and are also extremely creative and extremely talented and like good at what they do, also screw up and be like, oh my God, here, let me tell you the 4 ways I screwed up today. And it's kind of like, it's very like relieving to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. You're not alone. And, you know, it's just like having that group of like people that's like a safe little space of, oh my gosh, we all screwed up. Oh, well, we're still here.
Yeah. Like, we're still going to do this thing.
We're still going to get married.
Yes, exactly.
So,
well, where can listeners find and connect with you?
Well, our Instagram is probably my favorite place, which is just Knapp Design Co. That's Knapp Design Co.
Yes, and we'll have all our links in the show notes.
And then our Etsy shop is the same name. Spoiler alert, everything is knappdesignco.com, on Etsy, on Instagram, on Pinterest.
All of the things.
All the things.
Knapp Design Co.
Yeah, that's it. That's me.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I am so grateful to have spent some time with you here today and for your courage and vulnerability to share both your wins and your,
my mess ups.
Your mess ups.
It's okay.
Exactly. But please keep creating beautiful things and inspiring others to move past their fears and towards the life that they actually enjoy living.
Of course.
You, my friend, are created worthy. Thanks for tuning in to the Created Worthy podcast. If anything in today's show resonated with you, can you do me a huge favor and go leave a 5-star review? This helps more listeners find the show, and it also expands the impact, messages, and stories that are shared here. All the links and guest information are in the show notes. If you're on social media, I want to personally invite you to continue the conversations about these important topics that we're talking about. You can find Created Worthy on both Instagram and Facebook by just typing in Created Worthy Podcast. Can't wait to talk to you soon, friend. And don't forget, you are created worthy.